you know, when you think of EDG, you think of international killers, right? You think of these guys toppling big names on the international stage. Definitely hasn't been the case in recent years, and this version of EDG is hoping to change that.
Yeah, and I think this is the EDG that fans are starting to rally around as well. Like, when you're bringing back Scout, Scout and Clearlove were part of that initial roster that did so well back in 2016, 2017, but at least having Scout still here. Mako, who was part of that roster as well, now coming across with Viper, this massive AD carry from the LCK, and you've already got like a strong top laner and jungler there as well. Like, it seems like EDG have finally got all the pieces together. We just have to see if they can bring this forward. Now, one slip up against OMG is not going to change my opinion. I still think this is a very strong EDG, but I want to see them now close it out in a commanding fashion, and maybe get rid of some of these global pressures that are coming through from the mid lane, because Woomin has been able to dictate a lot of the early plays from this Galileo and Twisted Fate position. Well, that makes sense.
I will say that he's gonna be on the Zoe is the answer.
Yeah.
I will say I wasn't that impressed by Wooming's Twisted Fate. A couple of times it felt like he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Obviously he got caught out top, but there was a couple of times towards the bottom side of the map as well where he was just out of position. So I like that he's on the Zoe. It's something where you can just have that priority in mid and play around the jungle. We are going to have immediately the Pantheon comes back on through. It's been banned a lot today. We saw it earlier from Carso. It didn't work out. But with Viper on the Jhin, feels like he should have the backup there from the ultimate.
Yeah, and that's the big point here is like, okay, Viper, you're playing really far back here. We're going to try and use this Pantheon to start off the engages, find those flanks, and then everyone can Paul dive in with the Jhin while this... Paul did it with the Pantheon with this Jhin is playing safe from the backline. On the OMG side, though, you've got a very long-range long-range team fight so far, with Woomin being able to pop over walls with the Zoe. You've got this bullet time as well. So right now, you need to try and double up on this ability to close the gap on towards OMG, or run the risk of just being poked out with the likes of this Misfortune and the Zoe.
It feels so good to see fan signs and things like that in the audience once again. It feels like we're kind of returning to normalcy here in the LPL. But do you have a bunch of guns locked in on the side of OMG? We've got the Orianna for Scout once again for the third game in a row here. And a lot of respect coming out from EDG as they banned the Alistar away from Cold. I can't say I blame them. I'd be banning that if I had been on the receiving end of last game too.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to ban the Alistar. I have a feeling they'll try and leave the Leona open for themselves the first pick, but OMG have read that, so they're like, no, we're having none of it. It does mean that we're going to start like teetering down a little bit through our tier list, because when we looked at least the Master Championship, Leona had a 91% presence, Alistar was 82%, and then you drop right the way down below 50% presence for a lot of these supports. So we're kind of going back into like the Nautilus, the Bard, the Thresh, the Set territory. And I mean, I want to see now if that's the decision that they finally decide to go towards, or if there's something else that they want to try and bring out.
Renekton can be banned away here as well. So trying to remove something from new in that top side. I'd love to see Flandre on something that's a bit more of a playmaker in this game, just because, you know, things like the tank Volibear, it doesn't feel like it's something that he can really flex his muscles on. Flandre is the kind of player that can dominate the top lane 1v1 if given the opportunity and the right matchup.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw it in the last one, right? He got the solo kill. Flandre knew exactly how he wanted to play that matchup. I don't think we'll see the top lane pickup here. Could be wrong. I prefer to see a support lock in, and then you can look towards a counter pick for Flandre. I feel like with how Flandre's kind of been left out in a lot of situations, that top lane matchup is far more important. Look, they decided to go with the Aatrox anyway.
Look, it's Flandre's Aatrox though. We've seen him dominate on Aatrox before. I'm excited for this pick, especially with the fact that Aatrox is totally, completely, and utterly invincible if he's got a Gore Drinker. It's actually absurd. So I believe Flandre can do great things on this pick. However, as you rightly say, blind picking your top lane, giving him an Aatrox, does mean that things like this Kennen, for example, are available for new. He's going to have a very fun laning phase for himself.
Not only a laning phase, like everything that EDG wants to do just enables Kennen so well. You want to run in aggressively as this Aatrox, as this Pantheon, jump onto the backline. Fantastic. You're just opening up your arms as new, saying, come into my Maelstrom. It is not going to be fun for you. OMG now have a composition that has a huge amount of long-range poke, where they can approach these team fights without having to fully commit. It looks like they're going to go towards the Thresh for Code as well, which provides a good amount of disengage. And they've got an engage/disengage tool alongside this Kennen. So honestly, OMG have this really nicely rounded out composition. And as well, a lot of pressure in their lanes. Like, you win the mid lane matchup as the Zoe when it comes to push, when it comes to poke, even when it comes to the mid jungle 2v2. Same in this bottom lane. Misfortune and Thresh do a great job against the likes of this Jhin. Overall, OMG have set themselves up super nicely.
And Mako goes for the Maokai once again. So clearly EDG believing that this is a good pick. It just didn't work out in the last game. So certainly something that they're going back towards. And look at the difference in compositions that we have here. EDG, very much a lot of bruises, a lot of all-in potential with carries that can try and follow up from range. Whereas for OMG, it's pretty much all range. It's all like just keep them away and just keep throwing things at them. Throw absolutely everything we've got until they all die. And if they do come in, hey, Kennen just presses R and everything's okay.
I would have preferred on EDG's side here to see the Nautilus come in as that last pick, just to double down on this definitive engage tool, especially if you've got Woomin who's coming in over the wall as a Zoe. You can throw down that depth charge, continue to follow up on the Zoe, makes it a lot more difficult for the Zoe to operate. And overall, as he said, like, EDG, they've got this, hey, we're diving in onto the back line, we're going to try and have the Orianna to follow up as this big CC, the Jhin playing from afar with the curtain call. That's the game plan that they're going with here, but trying to close that gap onto OMG could be difficult if OMG are playing their cards correctly.
Yeah, it's going to be incredibly difficult, and whether or not that happens is a different question, because OMG so far, we've had 2 games where we've had 2 totally different versions of OMG. This third game, honestly, if they could get a win against EDG, would start their season off in style, and it would shut up the haters. It would show that OMG is a team that you cannot just totally underestimate, and also that EDG, maybe people getting a little overexcited coming into the season, but we've seen a fantastic game from either of these teams now, and it's time to find out which team is going to be able to close out the series and bring themselves that kind of day 1 title of being the victor here. It's EDG against OMG. EDG over on our red side as we head into our third game. It's so good to have the crowd back, Dagda. It's so good.
It is. It so is. But look, I want to come back into this game and kind of hit on a point that you kind of touched on there is I like Aki in this situation. Aki has done really, really well when we've seen him with having a strong mid jungle 2v2, where you have players, or a team at least, that are able to play towards him. And when Aki right now has 3 winning lanes and a very strong mid jungle 2v2, where Woomin can go in, set up very well for Aki to come into lane. You got this ignite on towards Woomin as well. Like, they are looking, especially with electrocute, they are looking to kill scouts. They are looking to go ham in this mid lane, and I want to see Aki now really flourish, where he's got all these opportunities to get going in this early game. Let's make it work with this Graves. And for people at home who are not familiar with Aki likes to level 2 gank on Graves. Aki doesn't care about farming. Aki wants to kill people.
Yeah, even on Graves, he's more than happy to go for those ganks. And once you have the red buff, it's perfectly doable if a lane has any reasonable amount of CC. But, you know, he doesn't necessarily just rely on lanes with CC. He's quite happy to just go for a fight. I will say, if JJ is there, it becomes a lot more difficult for Graves to be able to pull these ganks off. Because when Graves can't move around and kite around a fight, he really starts to struggle. And that is precisely what Pantheon will bring to a skirmish.
Alrighty though.
Here we go.
Talked about level 2
gang. You said it, and here he is, Aki in the mid lane. The sleepy triple purple is beautiful from Wooming, and that is an easy first blood for OMG.
And look, everything was written in the stars that this was going to be an aggressive lane that they wanted to punish. I mean, the Ignite, the Electrocute. This is like, we oftentimes see Unsealed Spellbook Zoe, and this, or even the Summonary option in the mid lane. Electrocute is, no, I'm killing you. I'm running away with this and snowballing this game. And Aki goes to that level 2, now has this massive advantage for Woomin, and Scout, who, as an Orianna, you want to scale and farm, has been put very much in the back burner, and has had to burn that TP to get to lane as well. So it's not like he's going to have the opportunity here to, you know, enter the lane back at like the 4-minute mark, pick up an early corrupting pot or something along these lines to keep himself relevant in this lane. Woomy can shove in this back, pick up a Dark Seal for himself, and look to continue punishing in this mid.
It's interesting to me that all day today we've seen just even trades on the crabs. At the start of the game, it's been each team gets one crab and that's that. We've not seen any big brawls for the first Scuttle Crab, which is kind of surprising for LPL. I feel like in 2020, we saw a lot of teams just going absolutely all in on the first Scuttle Crabs.
I mean, it's early days, right? I mean, when you wake up in the morning, is the first thing you want to do go and fight? No. You gotta ease into Spring.
I'm from Doncaster.
All right, well, actually, I've lived with you. Yes, that is true. It's like, what's the teaspoon doing here, Rob? But no, I mean, look, realistically, give it a bit of time. I think a lot of people still trying to figure out the meta, but certainly from OMG side, like, you're in full control here. Winning mid, as we talked about, you got push on bot side. They're the ones that are getting the tempo advantage reset here. Same in that top lane. Like, from JJ's side, he's just glad he got Ascuttle Crab.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah. It's definitely not the kind of thing where you want to be just forcing the fights for the sake of it. I wasn't necessarily talking in these teams and these comps. I was more talking in, man, I just want them to fight all the time. I am a play-by-play. It is sort of my favorite thing in the world when the best teams in the world are just brawling with each other. I like that.
Look, I can pretend to be like the analyst all I want and the big brain here, but the second I see some of these teams fighting, I'm ooga booga and I'm like, I want these fights. I want to see. And like the caveman brain comes in, is like, just hit him. But I think, again, for EDG and OMG, it's a little bit slower pace. Same as we saw from the last couple of games where maybe there's one mistake that blows it open, but EDG certainly are more than happy to just play this slow-paced game, give themselves time to get to the late game, and with the composition that they have the opportunity with JJ to play these early games and see if they can get some ganks off. But honestly, you can look to scale towards the mid game and look for those fights instead.
Hook comes out onto Mako, but they can't really follow up too much. New will zip away as well from Flandre as he's trying to make something happen on this Aatrox. And obviously, if Aatrox can get onto the cannon, he can just annihilate him in the all-in. It's just being able to get onto the cannon in the first place is the issue that you'll find. OMG with priority bot might be able to start up a dragon here. JJ wants to stop that happening as Scout takes a mean chunk in the mid lane, but this lane priority in the bot and the mid means that this will be uncontested.
And beautiful job from OMG. Like, this is not what I expected from OMG. Great draft coming out, which is why I was like so happy to see it. It just gave so many opportunities for OMG to play how they wanted to. The early game is going well for them. Now I want to see if they can transition towards the mid game. Now, once again, in the last game, they did a good job. There was some blunders when we got to the mid game, but overall, fairly positive. They need to keep it up now for game number 2 and potentially bring us to our second upset of today.
Yeah, that would be something, wouldn't it? If both series in day 1 end up going the opposite way to the majority of predictions, that really would start this season off strong. Because, hang on, we've got an all-in on the top side. Flandre, though, has a bit of lifesteal. He's going to be able to flash away, and I don't think Nu can chase him down. That was a little too close for comfort there, but well played by Nu.
Yeah, I mean, Nu now is going to be able to shove this in, force the TP out from Flandre. You can see Flandre's opted in towards the Electrocute build. This is the standard for Aatrox's when they're in ranged matchups, because you're not going to get like Conqueror off very often because you've got to try and close that gap. You're not going to get like too much out of your grasp with the Undying. So opting for the Electrocute, but in all-in scenarios like this where Nu's been able to whittle down Flandre's health bar, it's always going to be kind of favored, and he just about manages to escape, but still not the best.
Here we go. Time to make the play. He was just hovering on the side, waiting for Nu to get himself out of position. Pulled back in, knocked up, beaten down. The lightning mouse is no more.
And we just saw Nu TP in. So Nu went for that all-in just off of his own TP. So now you're in a position where you can look to continually go towards this top lane. Maybe look for a dive onto the cannon as what's that?
There we go. Hold. No, God, no! Oh, God! That was... How can you play Alistair so beautifully, get MVP, and then the following game immediately transform into Yellow Star's Thresh? How is that possible?
Point and clicks are easy. No, this is why I play Alistair. This is why it's a lot simpler to go, hey, I'm gonna hit this guy and I'm gonna hit him because I just have to click on him, where there's a lot more you gotta worry about with Thresh. Big whiff on that bottom side is going to relieve a huge amount of pressure. Plus, with Aki showing now, JJ has control of the top side to go towards this Rift Herald freeze he likes. So, in the grand scheme of things, like, this opens up a lot of avenues here for EDG.
Yeah, it really does. Oh, hang on, that's a trouble bubble as well. Wooming is purely on cooldown right now. Is Nu going to go straight in onto Flandre? The smite came down. OMG, get everything on the top side. That couldn't have gone worse for EDG.
No, I thought the Flandre was going to come across faster to help burst that down, but got distracted by a ward, which meant they weren't able to finish off that Rift Herald before the cavalry arrived. And OMG show up, they take both kills, take the Rift Herald, and now again more gold being funneled into already very strong lanes on the top side of the map. Wooming has this Rift Herald too. He can plonk that down whenever he likes to create this pressure, force Scout out of lane, or even hold on for it and use it to create priority mid to go over towards this dragon.
And let's bear in mind that he already has priority, so he could just use that to try and brute force. But look at the damage he's already putting out. And then Flandre's suddenly just completely alone.
Yeah, I mean, a great call here from Wooming, setting up this entire play. Reads the map, knows that, look, they've got to be making some sort of cross play. JJ hasn't showed up bot side, goes over towards Rift, spots it out, and being able to land all that burst damage onto JJ just instantly shut down that play.
Beautiful stuff out of OMG, and that's the second game in a row that I'm saying that. JJ on this Pantheon jungle so far struggling to have too much of an impact on the game, just getting bullied out of each play. Scout going to be able to grab himself that blue buff, but he might not hold on to it for too long because Cold not going to go for anything. He did have the Hex Flash available. I wasn't sure if he was just going to try and make the play over the wall, but it looks like the answer is going to be Herald in the mid lane. They'll get demolished, so this should be 3 plates taken. Although it looks like maybe they just back away. The Herald will finish them.
Yeah, it still gives a lot of that gold towards Wooming. I wasn't expecting the entirety of OMG essentially to show up in that mid lane just to like see off the Rift Herald, but it was a nice sending, and now they will return to the bot lane. They do miss out on a bit of a wave there for Eric though. Would have liked to have been able to solidify all those creeps and that experience, but either way, Viper gets a nice reset for himself. Now, Noon Quiver picked up plus that pickaxe to match what Eric had already picked up.
And JJ wants to go topside again. That's the only thing that's worked so far for EDG. He's like, all right, I want to kill me a mouse. I want to catch a Pokemon for myself. In he goes up towards the top side. Nu getting the stun onto Flandre, but just gets absolutely obliterated once again. I mean, there's 2 God of Wars right there. There's 2 of them. What are you going to do?
I mean, look, it's managing to work out for them, and it's weird to see Aatrox and Pantheon working together from a lore perspective, but when they come together for EDG, it's beautiful. Nu goes down, will have the TP to get back up towards that top lane, but honestly, this is just EDG running through this top side, forcing pressure onto OMG, and yes, you're picking up like a couple of these dragons and that, but very quickly Flandre is going to have this Gore Drinker, and he's going to become a bit of a menace now when he gets to team fight.
Cold manages to dodge the Deadly Flourish there. It does actually get a control hood as well, which is nice. It's not often that you get to push in that deep and clear vision, especially in that tri-brush when you're playing from blue side. It's difficult to remove control wards from there unless your jungler comes over. So that's a nice little bonus that Cold gets for himself.
Sorry, I'm laughing because JJ has only got a single camp up on this top side, and his top camps aren't respawning, except apart from the red, but it looks like he's actually
on his way.
Yeah, he's actually just running it towards topside again. Just like, he's got no flash, we're gonna kill him.
Uh-oh, Nu's in trouble. Has his flash has only just been used here. Oh, that was a beautiful knock of Buttress. There's nothing you get to do. Nu does not get to play the game today.
That's so mean.
Like, oh, look at Nu's face as well. You can. It's working. It's working. They're getting the mentality. He's getting stressed out.
But that's the thing. Like, look at where the camps are for JJ. Like, if you are farming correctly and pathing correctly, he should be bot side. That was why Nu was so pissed off. Like, it's inefficient for Pantheon to be top side right now, but it's not if he's putting 300 gold across over into his team. So he'll be entering back towards the bot side, but you can see this is very quickly starting to go in favor of Flandre. Now, Nu can still play this relatively well, should be able to avoid a lot of the engages because he does have that the lightning rush or surge even to get out of the way of a lot of what Aatrox wants to do. However, a lot more goals, that Gore Trinker being completed at the right time for Flandre, it's going to mean good things for OMG as a whole.
It certainly will. And, you know, I know there's a lot of people that don't like the item Morellonomicon, but I feel like in this kind of game, Morellonomicon is the only option for New here. He needs to get some healing reduction, because with an Aatrox and a Pantheon, both already with Gore Drinker, plus Maokai, you gotta get some kind of healing reduction across this team from OMG to stop just the infinite health bar, especially when Dragon Soul this game is gonna be an Ocean Soul as well. It does not get better for Morellonomicon than this game.
Oh, Flandre though.
Oh, Nuskin. Oh no, he actually got away with that one. I'm surprised that didn't pull him in, to be quite honest. But Flandre consistently going to start to look for these 1v1s now. He's feeling much better about the situation. But maybe he shouldn't be, because Nu's dodging everything and he's throwing out some ninja stars.
Yeah, it's still Kennen favored just because Kennen's able to avoid. As you can see, quite a lot of it, especially with the rocket belts, still there to help in case anything goes awry. But
Aki's now trying to return the favor, trying to match what JJ has been doing up in this top side, but he doesn't get to because JJ's here. He's flown across the map. Welcome to Targon. And now he's been put to sleep and taken down. See you later, Targon. Flandre has to walk away from this one. There's nothing more he can do, but Wooming might not let him ignite Ticket away, and it's a double kill on the Zoe.
Wooming is reading these plays from EDG so well and using the priority that he has in this mid lane to perfection. Like pushing in Scout, getting out of the mid lane and helping out OMG, especially now the second Rift Herald is here once again. It's been Wooming who's been solidifying these Rift Heralds for OMG, just understanding that he can help out and move into these side lanes.
Beautiful stuff. Scout is answering on the bottom side at very least. Should be able to grab himself this tower, so all things considered, when you look at the CS numbers, because Wooming has been roaming around so much, Scout is like 40 CS up. There was a graphic that came up immediately as soon as I started talking about the CS, but Scout has a massive, massive lead individually.
Yeah, and it's reflected in the experience as well. I mean, level 11 for Scout versus the level 10, but either way, it's still a lot of kills going the way of OMG to get the Rift Herald. Terror does go down on bot side. Now, the Rift Herald obviously is going to be future gold. Immediate gold is going to be, obviously with Wooming getting the kills in his favor and some of that turret gold going over towards Scout. So with the Dragon now about to spawn after this replay, I want to take a quick look at the items that are coming through here, because Luden's Tempest being completed for Scout is a really big pickup for him. On the opposite side though, Wooming hasn't actually been able to spend as much as he would like. He probably needs to back before this, because he was sitting on Luda's Tempest before that fight topside kicked off.
Hang on, we got a route onto Aki here, an immediate curtain call. Looks like Eric is gonna, well, he's just gonna walk away. Never mind. Viper not doing so hot on the curtain call there, but you know, it was one of those situations where your original target zips out. There's nothing you can do at that point.
Rift Herald is placed though, trying to make sure that OMG can fight back for control over this mid. They will get the tower off this charge, but it looks like EDG are just like, hey, we'll get this Dragon. I'd rather see OMG follow that Rift Herald. Go and get that second charge and see if you can take the tier 2. Like, EDG are fully out of position here, and you can go for that inside track to the mid lane.
Well, they are going to be able to do that as well. They were too late to contest that Dragon, unfortunately for them, which, you know, the Dragon would have been really fantastic because it would have put them onto that Soul Point. They were too late to make that play, so they're trying to go to the mid lane, but it feels like maybe they're too late to this one as well. Trouble Bubble goes wide, and they have to back away. So OMG don't get much. They do get the top tier pot, though.
Yeah, and it is about creating at least some pressure. So 2 towers go over in favor of them. Flandre will collapse this, or crash, sorry, this bot lane wave in. But overall, still OMG picking up slight wins. I want to see what the item builds are going to be from Wooming, though. I personally would like to see him get the Horizon focus right now. He isn't under a huge amount of pressure in these fights from like long range damage or anything like that, or like he'd need a Banshee's Veil or something like a Zonya's. So I think getting the Horizon focus now means that when he does get these big like sleepy trouble bubbles into the paddle star, that damage is going to be sky high, and he has the opportunity to one-shot Viper from a Scout and will force a lot of early magic resist out of EDG.
I feel like, you know, Horizon Focus as an item, I feel like that's named after going to the opticians. because it's like that machine where you sit your chin on and you have to focus on the horizon. It's literally that, just as a League of Legends item instead. So I guess maybe it's just for people that wear glasses or something like that. But either way, it's a pretty good item. So long as you have the right prescription for it. That's the key thing. That's all I had. I thought you were going to say something there.
No, is it called Horizon? Is it Cosmic Focus and then Horizon something, or is it Horizon Focus? Look, I'm still learning the new names. It's been a lot. When you're the first region to bring out all the new stuff, you really need to know the new stuff. And it's been a lot of time learning names and everything else. So maybe I got it right, maybe I didn't get it. But you know the one I'm talking about. It's the weird glove with the. It is Horizon Focus. Okay, cool, perfect. I had that sinking feeling where I was like, maybe it's not. Anyway, going back into this.
I believed it until you questioned it, and then I questioned it all along with you.
Yeah, and I'm sure the audience questioned it along with me, which is even better. Everyone's like, is it? I don't. Yeah. Either way, great start. Great if he does pick up the item. If not, I can still understand wanting to go maybe a more defensive build in case he's worried about something hitting him. But I don't feel like there should be a lot there that he needs to be too worried about. On EDG side, first items across the board, mythics all completed. Especially that Imperial Mandate on the bot side now gives a lot more impact from Mako in these team fights. That is such a crucial pickup for this Mako.
Flandre has way overextended here. I don't know why he wanted that control ward so bad. I guess maybe he thought the whole of OMG were topside or something, but control ward not worth dying for. That is for sure, and Flandre's just found that out the hard way.
Yeah, I was surprised to see him go for it. You have that wave that's fully pushing in the top side. Nobody was answering it, so you can assume that they are definitely on this bottom side. Does give the kill over. It means New can get some chip damage down on this. There'll be another couple of waves before he...
Yeah, OMG feeling pretty fantastic once again. We do have a very even game on our hands though, Dagda. If we kind of recap, we've hit the 20-minute mark. We're 5-3 on the kills, but in terms of gold, we're pretty much dead even. In terms of Dragon, neither team on that soul point just yet, which could change in a minute and 15 seconds. And we're gonna head into a quick little pause here. So we'll just take a moment. We'll just take a moment, take a breather. As you know, we've had some pretty slow-paced games here today so far, Dagda. But let's just remember that we're coming into day one of the LPL. This is the first major region to start playing games. There's a lot of pressure on these players to perform. You want to show up on day one. You want to show what your team is all about. And I think especially in a game 3, both of these teams are going to be coming in a little bit nervous and a little bit tentative, wanting to make sure that they do put their best foot forward.
Certainly. And I think when you look at EDG specifically, we talked about the legacy that this organization has. You're going to want to make sure that you're living up to that. And even on the opposite side as well, for OMG, a lot of rookies coming in, similar story, a legacy organization. You're going to want to put your best foot forward. And I think we've seen a lot of that, especially like from the likes of Woomin has looked very good. Aki has looked exceptional. Like, we had high hopes for this guy. We're hoping he'd be able to make those aggressive early ganks work in the LPL, and they are still going in his favor. And I think the biggest surprise for me, though, on OMG has been the bot lane. Like, Code looks fantastic in game number 1. Eric looks like a completely different person. The aggressive plays in this Kai'Sa, he's been winning in the bot lane for quite a large portion of the game. Like, I have been very, very impressed with Eric when I really didn't expect much. And it's not like he's going up against a bottom tier AD carrying support. Like, he's against Viper and Mako. Like, a lot of people have very high hopes for this bot lane. This was a hype bot lane, and Eric and Code are standing up to that.
And let's bear in mind that this isn't just Viper and Mako really underperforming or anything like that. Like, Viper got MVP in game number 1. He looked absolutely fantastic. So it's really, really good to see OMG performing like this and showing up. And Eric, especially, as you say, I was incredibly harsh on him during NEST and during Demacia Cup, even during summer last year. So I'm excited to see Eric performing. And also, I'm curious about his build path, because he's not going for that collector second that we've seen so often. By the looks of things, he's going for that Essence Reaver instead. So very much going into almost that version of Crit MF that we saw a lot last year, where it was like IE into Essence Reaver to just blast out with the ultimate and then scale into a Crit AD carry later. Kind of a new version of that with the Gale Prince.
Oh, Viper. That damage is going to stick. OMG doing a really good job. I was about to say OMG in a perfect position here where you're teetering back and forth between, ooh, nice flash of control of this river. However,
yeah, here we go. Flandre's trying to move in. Dragon is going to be taken by OMG. Do they lose much though? Cold's gone down already. Eric going to be able to cleanse and flash out of there. And Flandre can't close the gap. So you know what? OMG say soul point for a support. We'll take that trade any day of the week.
Unless, no, Aki doesn't quite get caught out there, but still, what I wanted to talk about was like OMG's positioning there meant that they were in a perfect spot to pop in over the wall, get a bunch of that long range damage we were talking about down. Like Eric is able to open up with the bullet time in theory from safety, but a really nice job there from EDG to at least get the pick onto Cold, get something back, even though they lost the Dragon. Not quite able to get mid lane tower either, so OMG set themselves up onto Soul Point, and now it's the 4-minute countdown until EDG are really going to be forced to fight.
Yeah, that in 4 minutes time, it's going to become incredibly difficult. One thing I will say is there's a huge amount of burst damage on the side of OMG, and especially since Nu is going to have to build that Morellonomicon. Ocean Soul isn't as bad, but that's on the side of OMG. They're the ones that are likely to get the Ocean Soul. On the other side, there really isn't much burst damage to work with on the side of EDG. So these long drawn out fights that they actually want on the side of EDG become so much worse.
Yeah, and I think that's where we're going to be looking at like Mako and that, try to pick up some sort of previous wounds to try and provide that for the squad, because right now it's really awkward to try and make that happen, but here we go.
A little bit of a skirmish in the mid lane. I don't think much will come of this one, but Nu has found a flank and he wants to make his way in. Lightning Rush available, but spotted on a ward and decides to back away for now. I thought that was going to be the big trigger pull. He used his teleport to try and make that play.
Yeah, which means it won't be up for either the Dragon or now when they want to try and get control here, but probable lands.
Sleep followed up by the death sentence here. Curtain call across the team, and JJ actually survives. In the meantime, we've got Eric just firing onto the squad here. It's going to be 1-for-1, but jungler for support. Cold consistently trading his life for that of the opponents right here. Flash forced out of Nu. And now with Flash and teleport on cooldown, suddenly Nu's going to have a really hard time to impact the team fights.
And that's the big one, because again, we're casting our minds towards that 2.5-minute mark where the next Dragon's going to spawn. Nu would have liked to have that flash up and available so he could really have that big play that could maybe seal the deal and an OMG victory here, but now we'll have to play a little bit smarter, be a little bit more creative with the flanks, or, which I probably see happening more likely, is just sitting on top of the team and trying to prevent EDG from engaging. But again, Woomin doing a really good job of just picking off these key members on EDG to get the damage down. Long range damage coming through from Aki and Woomin, and this is the power of this composition we're talking about. Not having to commit to these plays to get the kills. It means that they can consistently look to poke, look to push back, and try and force EDG to actually get an engage of their own.
So we are getting to towards the 30-minute mark here. We're 25 minutes into the game. And we're just under 2 minutes away from the next Dragon. And it does feel like both of these teams are quite happy to just handshake the game until each Dragon spawns and then say, okay, what have you got? Time to have a little bit of a skirmish again. But even in those situations, Dagda, it doesn't feel like either of these teams are willing to really commit to a fight. Despite the fact that we've got like a Kennen and an Aatrox in the game, we've got Pantheon for the all-in and whatever, doesn't feel like either team is really willing to go, all right, 5v5, let's do this.
I think EDG would like to, they're just finding it difficult to with the way OMG are playing. Like, if Mako could, I'm sure he'd want to flash Twisted Advance onto like Woomin or Eric or even Aki and just get these fights started. But unfortunately, OMG are a little bit more slippery than that, but may not be for long.
Woomin could be in trouble, but looks like the curtain call will just be blocked by Cold. Nicely done there from the support of OMG. And as we said before, Dragon about to spawn. 45 seconds on that one. Nu is in position. Keep your eyes on this little Pikachu because he really wants to get a great Maelstrom across the whole team here.
Woomin has popped in towards bot side though to clear out that wave, so EDG know they're safe to get full control over this river, and that's the beauty of Maokai here as well. Those saplings are not just the ward, they also force the opponent to evacuate the area so he can move in aggressively and take control back.
All right, Drake coming up, 15 seconds here. EDG are the ones with control right now. They're the ones that are in the pit. They're trying to deny vision, but OMG can protect this ward pretty effectively.
The big thing here, though, is Aki is 2 levels over JJ. Because he's a Graves, he's been clearing a lot faster. So in a 50-50, it's not really 50-50. It's heavily in favor of Aki.
Yeah, 2 levels is a lot, but they can pull the dragon out of the pit, so it's not as easy for Aki to get in there uncontested and just try and go for the smite fight. Dragon's reset, though, which is not ideal for the side of OMG. Aki into the pit he goes, trying to get the smite for himself, but he's not going to be able to get it, and he's actually sacrificed his life. Did have a stopwatch to keep himself alive, as Nu is going to run distraction, saves his jungler, but maybe at the cost of his own life. Now Eric tagged by the W, but no follow-up from the rest of EDG. It's going to be Dragon and a kill.
Aki smited that bit too early. I meant that JJ was able to secure that one. Now, though, with the top laner dead, EDG can push over towards this Baron if they wanted to. Although, at the moment, it looks like with Flandre shoving in that bot side, they're not going to wholly commit to it. But it's a nice victory for EDG, being able to secure a second Dragon for themselves.
Yeah, very nicely done, and it means that they keep themselves in the game. Bear in mind that each of these Dragon skirmishes are incredibly, incredibly important for EDG. For OMG, it's like, okay, well, maybe we can get Ocean Soul next time. For EDG, it's like, okay, we kept ourselves literally alive in this game and in this series. Let's remember, they started the series off so damn strong. They looked absolutely incredible. It looked like they just washed OMG away like it was nothing. And then game number 2, suddenly we have OMG coming back into it. And now game number 3 feels like these two teams are going toe-to-toe. It feels like they're so evenly matched.
Yeah, and this is not at all where we expected this conversation to be. And I think for people that had EDG maybe in 4th or higher, maybe they're thinking of recalibrating their outlook. Or even on the OMG side, I'm certainly recalibrating where I had them positioned as well. Because this is an OMG that surprisingly is looking very good. And when we started to look at like rebuilding and reaching the heights that both these organizations had previously reached in LPL, this at least bodes well for both sides that maybe they can get back. But certainly from OMG's perspective, that their investment in the future of the LPL is starting to pay off.
Oh, Nu's forced to flash here. Very nicely done there to deny the escape from the side of Nu. And again, that flash having to be used defensively from Nu. It's really bad news as the Kennen when you want to be able to flash into the team fight. You want to be able to use that flash to make sure your ultimate and your W are getting on a massive stun. It's really unlucky. JJ could get caught here. Death Sentence doesn't hit. Oh my goodness, that is so unlucky for Cold. How did that not hit him?
A nice sidestep from JJ, like just barely managing to escape away from that one, but it does mean now OMG, this is a brave call.
Yeah, Aki had 2 stacks of smite as well, so he's just early smited there just for sustain. And now he will have to back away. Cold takes a bit of a chunk coming out from Viper there. Bear in mind, Viper has almost 350 CS. He has 3.5 items for himself. When he next recalls, he'll probably grab himself an IE as well. This is a big Jhin. Do not underestimate how much damage Viper can do. If he's able to get a couple of shots off his Q and Gale Force, he'll one-shot some.
And EDG as a whole do so well around the likes of this Baron pit, the Dragon pit, because think about like Shockwave, you've got this big Maokai ultimate that's locking people down, even Flandre getting multiple flank areas. Like, this is where EDG becomes so potent. And you have to be careful as OMG. You don't have the right to just start up a Baron and potentially get caught out.
Well, OMG are going to try and move over towards this. Curtain Call comes out. Cold might actually go down here. Aki has to block the shots. You don't really want Aki taking these shots if you can help it. Last one goes wide. Well, that's half of Baron's health done already. Nu is here. Remember, no flash, but he's got a heal. And he has his ultimate. EDG trying to back away. Good damage coming out from Wu Ming and puts the enemy to sleep as well. It is going to be enough to deter EDG from the Baron.
Yeah, and you can see the use that is coming out from these saplings, where getting so much damage done while also preventing OMG from moving in and getting control back of the Baron area. Now, EDG do move back, but it's only a matter of time until we see them fight again, Munchables, because 50 seconds now until that Dragon is available. You've got 3 items coming in pretty much across the board for these guys, and you're getting to the point where EDG's composition, at least from Carry's perspective, is starting to teeter over in their favor. Scout is monstrous with the amount of damage that he can churn out off of these 3 items.
Yeah, same can be said for Viper with the 4 items as well. We were just talking about that a minute ago. Also, Flandre has a Spirit Visage for himself. He has so much healing. He is just going to be completely invincible. I feel like I just can't stop saying that about Gore Drinker, but honestly, every time I see it, it just boggles my mind. We've got a Drake coming up in 15 seconds. And EDG do not want to give this up. Remember, OMG will get soul if they grab it. EDG just looking to deny that and keep themselves in the game. Great root comes out, followed up by Mako. That's Aki taken out of the fight. Nu with his ultimate. It's a great ult, but the rest of the team is not ready for the fight just yet. Nu's going to go down here. Eric gets his ult denied as well. Everything's gone so wrong for OMG. Everything that could go wrong in that fight did go wrong. And now JJ slams into Eric to finish off the carry.
And that's going to be the Dragon down. It might be the Ace coming in here.
No way. They get all of them. Even Worming is going to go down on this one. Puts him to sleep under the tower, but Flandre doesn't care.
And that's Dragon. That's Baron. That's an Ace for EDG. After being on the back foot for so much of this game, at least when it came to like the way OMG had positioned, how OMG were getting the control of these objectives, EDG find one mistake and they punish it so well.
And look at this, they're going to be able to get themselves a mid lane tower as well. Because Wooming died so late after the fight, that's a huge time window that EDG have had for themselves to punish. They kind of needed some help on this Baron, guys. JJ is incredibly low. Yeah, they finally arrived.
Okay,
They're going to be able to get
fine.
it.
They'll be all right. They'll be all right. But okay, well look. Either way, it took a lot longer than they expected, so OMG have come back out onto the map. They are able to shove out a lot of these waves, so at least from the perspective of beginning the siege for EDG, it's going to be put on a little bit of a time hold while they wait for it. But this is the thing, Aki here was trying to bait everyone in towards Nu, and I like the idea. It's just it looked like the rest of OMG wasn't on the same page. They hadn't positioned themselves where they'd be able to follow up with Nu and the big Maelstrom. And then from there, EDG pick off 2 members, and it's just a case of trying to chase them down to that stage.
JJ looks like he's caught in the live game right now. I think he had to flash away. It's really difficult for me to see in the picture-in-picture with the remote setup that we've got going on. But EDG so far, 1,200 up on this Baron play. JJ got out. That's the most important thing on the back of that play. And now you can see the side of OMG, they're trying to get on in towards the mid lane to try and defend this inhibitor. They should be able to get through the base door. In the meantime, though, Flandre should be able to get this top lane tower. Although he doesn't have a ton of minions to work with, there's going to be some reinforcements arriving here.
Yeah, he'll be fine. Kind of minion can do a lot of the work there for him. And especially because you'd had EDG shove in that mid wave, they were able to cover him. He knew that there was no one from OMG going to be coming to bother him, so now, again, EDG are looking to try and get on towards this inhibitor. Nice damage from Viper. Half healthy Eric just off of that shot.
Viper has been on point with these deadly flourishes. He's been so good at managing to pin people down. I mean, he was the reason they managed to get the pick onto Aki in the first place to get themselves that 3rd dragon. Now, Flandre pushing up in the top side. That's 2 inhib towers gone. This is an aggressive play from Viper, but he gets away with it, and he baits the whole team into it. That was unbelievable. And now Nu, he'll be able to punish, but it doesn't matter. You got the shutdown, but it was at the cost of your entire team. It was at the cost of the entire game. JJ finishes him off, and that's an ace and a win for EDG.
EDG will manage to finish off the game, but confidence probably a little bit bruised after that one. Either way, the 2-1 goes in favor of EDG as they round it out.
And look at Viper feeling fantastic. He did so well in that game and then baits them out with the Jhin. Knew he could survive, knew he could just poke out a little bit further. Obviously with the Gale Force, you got that little